Hey guys, how you doing? It's Andy. I'm going to start out by telling you, number one, how I sold 63 cars in a month. And basically, I was in a store with about 100 salespeople. There was a top spiff for that month that the top salesman, first place, got a $12,000 Yachtmaster Rolex. I was 20 years old and I wanted that watch. And I'm going to tell you, before I tell you how I did it, I'm going to tell you about something bad that happened to me before that came up, which always led me to believe that when my back's against a wall, I lead back to this now. And this requires me to push through because I remember this. It was a very big growing point in my life, okay? Kind of a little secret I never really talk about and I don't share with many. But I'll tell you this, maybe you're someone that's on the other side and you've maybe had a tough time. Maybe you got something on your past, man, that you're really not proud of. And it doesn't matter. All that matters is from today forward. And you can use whatever that is when your back's against the wall to always push you forward. But that's not who you are. And a lot of people that come from nothing, those are the people that can end up with the most, okay? Because they have the most drive and they have the most fire in their belly. So I'm going to tell you about something bad that happened to me. And then I'm going to go into the good. I'm going to tell you how I sold 63 cars, okay? And I'm going to kind of make this quick, but I'll share with you, if you're on the other end right now, no matter where you're at in life, no matter what you've been through, I don't care. I've always believed that the guy with the biggest fire in his belly is the guy that's going to make the most money and go the farthest, okay? Just don't give out. Don't give in. And don't stop pushing. I don't care. If you get to a point where you get to a grind spot and you're like, man, I just feel like giving up, no ways. That's just when the fun's starting to begin, okay? You don't quit, I promise you. When you look back on it, that'll be what you think about when your back's against the wall. So let me tell you what happened to me. I'm 19 years old, okay? Now remember, I sold 63 cars when I was 20. I'm going to show you this. I'm 19 years old. I'm in a store with about 100 salesmen. And I go out with some friends one night. I was stupid. Guys, I don't believe in going out and partying anymore. But I'm going to share with you. I went out and partied. I ended up getting a DUI. I ended up going to jail that night. And I'm going to tell you, it was a crazy night. I ended up fighting all night in jail. Like it was, and I didn't even fight. I was just getting jumped left and right. My dad picked me up. Never been to jail in my life. Still have not been, except for this one night. My dad picks me up right before we go upstairs. We were there for about I don't know, maybe I was there for about 24 hours in a holding cell with all these just crazy people. And I remember my dad picked me up, man. I was starving. And I just started bawling. I was like, dude, this isn't who I am. Like, I'm not a bad person. Like, I don't do bad things. Like, I may have luckily gotten away with some crazy stuff in my life, you know, like when I was younger, like just, you know, not thinking and being young. But like, why did I go do something stupid like this? When I work in a car dealership, I was broke when I'm 18, now I'm 19, I'm making great money. I'm just about to buy a house, and here I go get a DUI. So I had a lawyer, okay? And he says, I've never had a lawyer before. He says, Andy, here's what I'll do. $10,000 is how much I cost. For $10,000, I can guarantee, number one, it won't go on your record, and number two, that this is going to go away. And first of all, I didn't really have any money in the bank. I had just bought a brand new Corvette, right? Because I was young and I wanted one. You know, I was in the point where I went out and bought some stuff and I just worked really hard. I would see a customer, I was like, hey, there's my car payment. There's my house payment. I was living life. I was pushing it at being young. I'm going to share this with you though. $10,000 within 30 days was what I owed him. And he said, if I don't have that $10,000 within 30 days, he's not going to be my lawyer. So he gave me a court date, which was about 30 days from then. And I had to go back to work. Now, how do you think I was in that spirits at this time? Like, do you think I was fired up? I was positive? No, man, I just got out of jail. I'm literally shook up. I just don't know how I'm going to get $10,000. And now you can go borrow it. I'm not that kind of person, man. I've never had a $10,000 washout check at 19 years old. But I will tell you this. I decided on that day when I went back to work, there was 21 selling days for the rest of that month. And in the store that I worked for, at the end of that month, they paid you your full washout. I needed a $10,000 after taxes check to take to my lawyer so he would represent me, go to the courtroom, get my whole DUI expunged, and guess what? Go back to work. And if I could pull this off, I could pull anything off in life. And guess what? I went to work, and for the next 21 days, I got there to work 7:30 in the morning. I didn't leave till 11 o'clock at night. I was taking ups on the pavement at 10 o'clock at night. Managers screaming at me because I needed every single dollar. I didn't go to lunch with anybody. I spent no money. I ate bologna sandwiches and bread. And I've always been a fit person, so I care about how I look and what I put in my body. I didn't care. No money was going out. The only thing I cared about was paying my lawyer. Guys, for 21 days, I was a pure assassin. I worked every single minute. You know how there's 60 minutes in an hour? I worked 60 minutes in that hour for 14 to 15 hours a day for 21 selling days straight. I proved to myself, I took home a $10,800 check after taxes. Why did it take me going to jail to get a $10,000 washout check when I couldn't make that when I didn't have any problems? You know why? Because when your back's against the wall, sometimes you have to pull out all of yourself. You see, I don't care who you are. I want you to think about one thing. Potential. Is the potential there for you to make more money and be better than you are now? If the answer is yes, then the next question would be, why aren't you? And I'm going to tell you, there was no room for a why aren't you. I had the potential, but I could get away with not playing with all my potential. And there's a lot of you across on the other side of the room that have more potential too. And guess what? Because you're not being forced into it, you're not tapping into that zone. So I made my $10,800 check, paid my attorney, and made my car payment, my insurance, had $0 left. But I learned the best lesson of my life, that I could physically make the kind of money that I dreamed about making, and I knew that I could make it now. And ask me the next question, what's the craziest thing that happened? Did I ever make a check after that less than $10,000 on a washout? Never again. A guy runs a 4-minute mile, right? For years they were trying to break that 4-minute mile. One person runs it. The next day, 10 other people hit the 4-minute mile because they see someone else do it. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I just had to see that I could do it on my own. My back was against a wall. I thought about that for the next 3 to 4 years of my life. Now I'm 39, right? Now when I work for my kids. I have 3 kids and my wife. But back then I worked for the fear of loss. I never wanted to go back to that place. It's a very dark place. So when I worked because I never wanted to go back to that. I never wanted to go back to being broke again. And guess what? Fear of loss is what I pushed from. So I'll tell you this. When I was 20, in the whole store that I was at, this giant Autoplex, there was about 100 salesmen. There's this top guy. Now, the most cars that I've ever sold at this point was about 35 cars. And there's a salesman. I'm a used car salesman. There's a new car salesman over in another building that's like House Mouse King. He doesn't put up any gross. He makes no money. His year-to-date's low. But he sells like 45 cars a month because he's getting like all of this Fed fleet department stuff. Well, guess what? That guy was the guy I had to go up against. Well, he averaged on average 10 to 15 cars more than me. So second place was like $2,000 in clothes. First place was a Yachtmaster Rolex, right? With a white, nice face. Beautiful, brand new, going to Zell's, pick it out. I had to have it. So because I know what it's like to be under the grind, just like when I got that DUI and I went to jail and I had to make that $10,000 after taxes that I never had made before, I knew I could do it. Same thing. Guess what? 25 days straight, 25 selling days in that month. I took those 25 days. I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30. I didn't leave till 11 o'clock at night. At 20 years old, I ended up selling 63 cars that month. I took first place in that store. And I remembered and I thought the whole time about that night I went to jail and about how my attorney said, you have to have $10,000 in my hand, or else, number one, you'll probably get some jail time, sentencing, lose your driver's license. I mean, dude, all these things that I just can't have happen, but I wasn't even interested in getting into that. I just need to know how to get out of it. 10 grand. Okay, my mistake. I'm going to make my 10 grand, and I did. And guess what? That new car salesman, he thought he had it in the bag. And I'm going to tell you, it was a grind, okay? And that guy ended up selling 58 cars that month. It was a Saturday, the last day of the month. He's up by one car going into the day, and I finished by selling 7 cars on the last day of the month. Guys, I'm just telling you, man, just that close. But 63 cars in 1 month. You want to know how to sell that many? You need to know your why. If you know your why, you will push extremely hard if that why is big enough. And my why was, hey, I had to have, and it was just at a point, I had to have that Yachtmaster Rolex. They gave it to me. I'm not flashy. I took it, I wore it one time, I put it in my safe, and it still sits there today. And what I'll tell you is this, okay? Not even counting the money that I made that month, selling 63 cars, and getting a $12,000 Yachtmaster Rolex, I proved to myself again, times 2, that guess what? If you really want something, you can go get it. So what I'll share with you is, look, I hope you understand this. That the 63 cars, how I sold it, was my back was against the wall. When my back's against the wall, if you have a reason when your back's against the wall, what you want and why you won't keep it against the wall, and that pain, guess what? You'll push through and you'll break records and you'll do things that I promise you, no one else ever believed that you could do. So I hope this video is helpful for you. And I have tons of closing and negotiation skills. And gosh, man, I mean, if you want to know how to sell 63 cars and like the how to, go to the Elliott Group on YouTube, and there's 30 simple videos that go over every single close in the world, the meet and greet, the fact find qualify. I mean, just everything you can, from the road to the sale to negotiating in the deepest points and raising your gross and selling more cars. Okay? But this is the true how to. Because I can teach you all that stuff, but if your why isn't big enough, you're never going to go to the stars, okay? So I hope this really helps. You guys have a blessed day. I'll talk to you soon.